Now that you've considered these, let's look at some potential challenges and their responses. If you need to establish trust in a new partnership, you can include partners early in decision making and invest time in building relationships. If you need to clarify data ownership and use, you can clearly define intellectual property sharing terms early on. You can read below some additional examples. You might have explored alternative possibilities. The key is that engaging in this thought process with your partners will help guide your relationship moving forward and ultimately impact the quality of your work. In Laser Pulse, our projects have of course faced many challenges. In some instances, level of attribution and acknowledgement for developing partner countries can be an issue, resolved through open communication and intervention, if needed from the sponsor. In other cases, finding shared language has been a concern. One of our projects built a short dictionary of terms to establish what it meant when a certain partner used a particular word or phrase. Generally, you can work to address most partnership concerns through open, active, and two-way communication with a sense of mutual respect. Though they are not easy, effective partnerships are at the heart of embedded research translation. Exploring and planning for this partnership is critical for any translation strategy. The promising practices that you see here, and will see in subsequent sections, were developed after assessing academic and practitioner literature, and in consultation with LaserPulse experiences. You can access a full report of these promising practices at laserpulse.org. For partnerships, promising practices include having direct involvement of diverse partners to ensure that knowledge is grounded, providing mechanisms for uptake of research insights, and forging the basis for engagement in policy and decision-making processes. Partners having a clear goal in mind, understanding what is at stake for each of the participants regarding the outcomes of the collaboration, and calibrating the goal to match the needs, capacities, and interests of the research users. Partnerships require intentional care, as well as respect for each team member, provide significant investment in creating spaces for new partnerships to emerge and for existing relationships to develop and sustain throughout funding cycles. Treat the partnership like any relationship. Time is needed to get to know partner organizations, individual staff, and the context in which they work. Budget the time required to build trust and enable open dialogue. Establish regular meetings to address emerging issues and deepen knowledge and appreciation for each partner. Create spaces that enable exchange to facilitate dialogue and learning. Partnerships between academics, government employees, and nonprofit workers can be complex because each partner has a different work culture and structure. Consider what type of institution you are partnering with and spend time learning who your partner is, including understanding their values, work, priorities, and incentives, as well as their history, leadership, and overall structure. It is important to acknowledge the power differentials that exist between researchers, practitioners, local communities, donors, and other stakeholders, and develop processes to engage ethically and appropriately to empower partners. So be aware of power imbalances, including developed country or developing country perspectives, academic or practitioner knowledge, and more, and use careful strategies to address any imbalances. For the process pillar, we're talking about moving from the initial partnership stage to actual practical planning for working together on the project. While establishing a partnership is critical, once it's underway, researchers and practitioners will also have to determine a process for working together, considering questions like, who will be involved from your institution? What kinds of activities will you do together and separately? And what costs might be associated with these activities? Answering these questions will help all partners build a plan or a roadmap that will ease their collaboration. Process is how you work together in research translation. It is the technical and operational components to maintain a partnership. The ERT model emphasizes a collaborative partnership process to ensure that after partners are brought together in a team, that they are able to build a strong foundation to work together effectively to achieve their common goals. Bringing the right partners together will not be enough to address a complex problem. The partnership needs to be transformed into an ongoing working relationship. At Laser Pulse, here are two examples of employing a collaborative process. Our Be Well, Teach Well project in Uganda established an expert advisory group of key project stakeholders to provide input into final materials and help in identifying audiences. In Iraq, our colleagues held 3 research translation strategy workshops, which enabled the project to invite prioritized stakeholders to provide updates on the project and seek their inputs on the direction the project was moving in. This approach informed the second phase of the project on implementation. Another way to think about process is to consider it a move from establishing your partnership and the components behind it to actually working together and how you actively collaborate to complete the work. Relationship building involves understanding each other's personal qualities and characteristics, such as working and communication preferences, how individuals are accustomed to making decisions, and whether partners are dedicated, self-motivated, and critical thinkers. Partners working together will likely discover that processes differ due to different perspectives and working styles. Partners need to agree upon a set of processes that will work for everyone involved at different stages of the project. It is critical to agree on how partners will mitigate risk, attend to administrative tasks and agreements quickly, and be able to make sound judgments and negotiations under strict timelines. Addressing key areas such as protocols, overcoming challenges, and decision-making norms are all a part of establishing a smooth and transparent process. Through proactive engagement, the result will be a synthesis of the partners and stakeholders' varied knowledge and expertise. This is knowledge co-production, which means a beneficial partnership with a bidirectional exchange of ideas, information, and knowledge. Collectively envisioning how changes might occur throughout the process will help determine what stakeholders will be key to the project and at what stage of the process they should be most effectively included. To plan for impact, teams need to have a clear vision of the desired changes and decide together how to plan to take the steps needed to achieve that change. In some cases, partnerships can be unequal when one partner has more decision-making power or influence than others. In other cases, partnerships can have permeable boundaries between organizations in which ideas and information flow freely among partners. This approach can lead to greater mutual trust and contextual understanding. Research project teams can set themselves up for success with a strong collaborative process by exploring setting up a partnership agreement, setting formalized decision-making rules, mapping out stakeholders collaboratively, establishing advisory committees, creating planning workshops, completing detailed implementation plans, and conducting partnership health checks. Beyond the immediate partnership, stakeholders present another opportunity to develop collaborative processes with those who can influence change in your field. Consider a planning exercise such as stakeholder analysis, context mapping, force field analysis, network analysis, among others, to identify and understand the key actors that can drive impact from your project. By planning to engage locals and other end users in the research process early, utilizing collaborative planning, and intentionally mapping out when to engage stakeholders at various points in the project, you can best engage the right people who can help your work make impact. Notably, Laser Pulse materials, including a researcher practitioner partnership toolkit, as well as guiding questions to plan for research translation and a stakeholder analysis template, can provide more detailed information here. Remember, one right way does not exist to plan for your translation collaboration. However, intentional effort early in the relationship toward planning processes will help guide the partnership to a more successful result. To dive deeper into consideration of process, let's consider a scenario. You are an education researcher, and you and your institution have a strong relationship with an NGO partner. You have worked with them on a few occasions, with one of their country program teams on a research project you led on early grade reading, where they helped with stakeholder identification and analysis, and a separate project with some of their evaluation staff where they supported data collection and field testing. You have now decided that based on this close relationship and strong partnership, you will work together on a donor-funded project to research effective ways to support early grade reading in conflict areas. You have decided on the country where you will focus this research. Together are now honing the research questions and have to begin to plan the actual process for how you are going to do this work together. Now consider the following. What are the key questions that you will need answered to go from the initial partnership stage to actual practical planning for working together on this project? And how could you set up a collaborative process to answer those questions? Please prepare to enter 2 potential answers for each.